Hey, about a week or two ago, I put up a thing about movies that I like in the 80s. And, well, I got another one. Now, there's not very many movies. There's a lot of movies I like in the 80s, but there's a lot of them that I really, really like. So, now, some of these movies you guys may not like, but these are some of my favorite 80s movies. And this one is Tom Hanks' The Burbs. See it? Tom Hanks, The Burbs. I tell you what, I remember when I first watched this, it came out in 1989. I was 30 years old at that time. I didn't have any kids because I didn't have kids until I was 31, I think, or 32. But I remember watching it and I just fell in love with this. Tom Hanks plays this neighbor that has these people called the Klopeks that moved on the block, and he has this neighbor which is played by Rick. I think it's Rick Ducommun. Yeah, Rick Ducommun. He passed away back in 2015, by the way. But Rick Ducommun is this paranoid neighbor, and Tom Hanks is on vacation for a week, and they're spying on these Klopeks, and these Klopeks got these this weird furnace that makes this noise. I don't know. I just fell in love. You know, I think I had stopped smoking weed like two years before that. I think I stopped when I was 28. But anyway, I remember sitting in the living room watching that, and I just fell in love with that because this is one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies. But my favorite Tom Hanks movie is one that I'll share with you, next week. And I got a lot of Tom Hanks movies I like, but I don't like some of his newer stuff. But they're good movies, though. I just don't watch them. But The Burbs. This had Tom Hanks, Bruce Dern, Carrie Fisher was in this. You know, she was young. Of course, she was young in Star Wars as well. You know, she was super young when she was in Star Wars. But anyway, it had Carrie Fisher, Rick Ducommun, Cory Feldman. Y'all remember Cory Feldman? Cory Feldman, man, he was the teenage kid that lived next door. And he was always talking about, God, man, I love this neighborhood, man. This neighborhood's so cool, man. You know, he was on fire when he was young, man. But anyway, he was the neighbor kid, but he was just making fun of. And then you had Bruce Dern. Yeah, Bruce Dern was in there, and Bruce Dern was this military guy, and he acted like he was some hard ass. Well, then they had this guy that had a dog that had this real nice lawn, and he ended up coming up missing. So they thought that the Klopeks like murdered him or something. So they all got together and they wanted to find out what these Klopeks was all about. But this is what this movie's all about. And I know a lot of you probably already watched it, but oh my God, Tom Hanks, The Burbs. It is so freaking good. And I don't want to go in in-depth detail with it, but these guys, man, they did all the snooping around, and they actually went over there and visited them while they were there, and they was trying to fill them out and stuff. And that scene was so funny. And then, what else? The night there was a time where they were sitting on the front porch and they were talking about how the neighborhood changed and how this guy he murdered his family, and then they was walking down the street and they was looking at that creepy house, and Tom Hanks was married to the character was married to Carrie Fisher, and they was watching Jeopardy and stuff, and then they were talking about how the neighborhood changed and how times were back then. It's just such a good, well-made movie. It is just so good. And so weird because I fall asleep with this movie. I actually do. I put this movie on at night and I watch it. I actually watch it at night. But yep, it's The Burbs. But might not be able to see the back very well, but that's the back. So weird. I've had this movie for years. I mean, I've had it for years. That's how much I really enjoyed this movie. It's just one of my, 80s classics. But what's so weird though? They had a guy in there named Brother Theodore. He was in it. He played this cop, and then so anyway, they end up thinking that they had this. They waited till these people left, the Klopeks, so they wanted to see if they really were killing people and stuff like that. But when they got in the house, they had a gas leak, and the house ended up blowing up with Tom Hanks in it. He comes out all right. You just gotta watch it. But anyway, it's one of my favorite movies. But anyway, they thought, the Klopeks actually thought that when I first watched this, I was like, man, those guys never was really, they was just a creepy family, but they didn't really kill anybody. But towards the end, when they put Tom Hanks in the ambulance, the Klopeks had one of those weird kids driving the ambulance, and then the guy was in there, and Tom Hanks looked up and he goes, "You see my skulls, didn't you?" You know, because he had skulls. And Tom Hanks was like, and then somehow they wrecked the ambulance, and then Tom Hanks got out, and then they hit this trunk, and there was a bunch of dead skulls in there. I didn't want to make this video too long because I don't really do reviews. I'm just telling you, these are one of my... This movie came out in 1989. The Burbs. Yep, The Burbs. But it's one of my favorite movies of the 80s. Now, I'll have several more that I'm going to post up here, but I'm trying to do something different to this channel, you guys, and I want to thank another subscriber for subscribing to my channel. But anyway, this is one of my favorite movies of the 80s. Now, I got a lot more. It's not going to be that many I'm going to upload, but it's going to be some that's really near and dear to my heart. And Tom Hanks, that one, The Burbs, I don't know why. I just love this movie. I do. It just brings back memories. You know, it's so weird because my mom was still alive, my sister was still alive, a lot of my aunt and uncles were still around, and I was young and stuff. It's so weird how times change. But anyway, that's not trying to be sad or anything. It's just that sometimes when I pop this in, it just takes me back to that time. I'll tell you what takes me back to time also, too, is Jaws. When I watch Jaws, man, that really takes me back because Jaws came out in the 70s. And, you know, I can still hear my mom's voice, and she's been gone for years. It's sometimes, you guys, you people out there that got your moms and dads, man, don't take your family for granted, you know. God bless, take care, and we'll catch you in the next video. We'll see you.